Hi everyone, Scott Nell here with the Scott Nell team. I'm here with Armine Bazikyan with the Bazikyan Law Group, excuse me. Armine is an estate planning attorney and she is fantastic. Today's topic is, what are the pros and cons of joint tenancy? So the floor is now yours.
Well, that's a really great topic, and I'm glad we're addressing it, Scott. Joint tenancy is a type of vesting, I should say, during the process of escrow that individuals would choose when they're purchasing a property, and it has various legal consequences as well as tax ramifications. So it's very important to understand exactly what joint tenancy means before you check that box during your escrow instructions and select it for your home purchase process. So during the purchase process, you will select how you want to take title to your property, and joint tenancy is actually a very common method that a lot of people get recommended to select, and it simply means that it's two or more individuals owning property together, to put it simply.
Right. That's it?
Well, yeah.
Tell me more about
So-
what is a what is a con? What is the downside of going with joint tenancy?
So it's a great tool to use. It's a great vesting to select. And a lot of people actually select it because it has a survival operation of law, presumption of survival provision within it. So what ends up happening when two or more individuals select it and take title together, if something were to happen to one of them, it would automatically, by operation of law, go to the other person without a need to go to court. So a lot of times people select joint tenancy because of this great feature. However, even though it has that great legal avoidance of probate feature, it has some negative tax consequences for married couples.
That we want to hear about.
Yeah, so if it's a married couple taking title as joint tenancy, which a lot of couples do, what ends up happening is that one of the spouses, when they pass away, the other spouse does not take full advantage of the step-up in basis for tax purposes. So when they go to sell the property after one of the spouse's death, they incur some capital gains taxes.
Any other downsides to it that we should know about?
Those are the two main ones that we focus on from an estate planning perspective. So although it gives the clients an easy estate planning way of kind of DIYing their estate plan at home, not doing a trust, not doing a will, just simply putting it in joint tenancy, because of that tax ramification, it really does put them at a disadvantage from the back end when somebody actually dies, in hindsight.
Right.
It doesn't become the best choice that they could have made.
Well, let me throw you a curveball then. So you can go do joint tenancy, but what if someone had a choice to have a will, have a trust, or to go do joint tenancy, what would you recommend?
I always recommend doing a trust, okay? And that's mainly because it depends on who you're adding as a joint tenant on your property. So we'll see this a lot with parents who, instead of creating a trust for themselves, will just add the kids on as joint tenants. And they hope that, hey, I'm going to pass away first, and you two, let's say they have a son and a daughter, mom puts son and daughter on property, they'll actually receive it when I'm gone and everything will be fine. Not necessarily. Because what you're actually doing by adding a child or another individual on your property as a joint tenant, you are taking advantage of that probate avoidance, but during the span of your life, you're subjecting yourself to that person's creditors, to all the issues that can open up with that person. So there's a ton of other negative consequences, but we would be here all day if we sat and talked about it.
But if someone does a trust instead of joint tenancy, basically it's going to spell out more what their intentions are too.
Exactly. We can transfer it into the trust and take advantage of all the tax benefits that they can get when somebody passes away. We can have that probate avoidance, which is what people want, and we can put in backup plans in there. So, if so-and-so is the beneficiary, well, what happens if they're not living? You can tell me who else you want to receive it.
So who's a good candidate for a joint tenancy?
For joint tenancy, I would say that if you don't have a trust at the point at which you're buying a property, joint tenancy would be the good way to go unless you're married. Then there's other better options. So
let's say someone marks that box and then down the road they would get a trust, they'd go to someone like you, they'd get the trust done, it would spell it out, and then that usurps, that kind of overrides the joint tenancy at that point?
Yeah, so a lot of times what we do, like for example with couples that already own property in joint tenancy, is we transfer it into a different vesting form before we transfer it into the trust.
Okay.
So that we can establish that paper trail and proof for the IRS for tax purposes, and then we pop it into the trust.
Perfect. So it sounds like we know what not to do, ideally. So thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. Hey everyone, if you'd like more information about myself or my amazing team, check out scottnellteam.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.